Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. This is your host, Young Brando, live from Los Angeles. We're going to talk about watches. We are covering the important watches auction from Christie's Hong Kong. There are still about 80 watches that I want to go through with you, and most of it belongs to that famous Triazza collection that Christie's Hong Kong introduced before, that they have curated and that they have sold in part. But I want to share with you first something that is coming up in New York in June, specifically through Christie's. This was one of the pieces I got to try on when Phillips was having their preview in Los Angeles. Incidentally, their spot is on Nemo Street. So it was incredibly appropriate that they would have this very rare Alter and Barnes Antiqua. Um, Jeffrey Barnes is an American designer who basically approached through a common associate, Vienne Alter, who was in the process of establishing his independent brand. And he had been bouncing around in his head and had actually also got sketched out some of his designs, which ended up being produced by Vienne Alter later. But they decided to collaborate on these three primary retrofuturistic designs that all have a sort of nautical element to it. There's the Antiqua that you can see on the screen right now. There's the Classique, which is like a wildly brutal, modern, and even kind of a steampunk take on the Pasha. And then there's the Trio, which is rectangular and curved piece that once again incorporates the porthole design into the entire concept. But in 1998, they came out with this watch, but the relationship was not meant to be. I think they even broke up before the watch could be presented in Basel. And it's been said that there are only about three of these watches that carried the shared hyphenated Alter Barnes brand. And out of those three watches, the two of them that went back to service had their dials apparently changed out and replaced with Vienna Alter's new dial. And those dials are, by the way, very intricate. They're always done out of noble metals. I think on the pink gold version, it is actually a platinum dial. On the yellow gold and white gold, they're produced out of a white gold blank, hand engraved and filled in. Same thing with the hands, of course. But the larger design is incredible. Apparently, the mysterious mass rotor was also Jeffrey Barnes's idea, and it's basically a winding rotor that's largely fashioned out of sapphire crystal. So you basically get to see the movement as if it were a hand wound piece. The monobridge construction itself is Vienna Alter's idea, and it is very well done, as austere as it is. And for a watch that's been often described as the missing link between traditional horology and contemporary independent watchmaking, it is also one of those perfect instances where high horology arrives at artistic expression, where it almost reaches into poetic expression. The steampunk ethos of this timepiece invites you into a lucid dream of a future imagined from the past, what Vienne Alter describes using the French phrase futur antérieur, where the Antiqua would perform on the bridge of some retrofuturistic spacecraft the kind of navigational functions that were once delegated to a marine chronometer. The unique execution of the perpetual calendar through the four portholes of varying sizes almost simplifies what is traditionally a prestige complication, right? You get to read the hour and minutes in the largest one. The second largest one gives you the month and the leap year. Then you get the day of the week. And finally, you get the date, which is the smallest porthole, but actually kind of a big date expression when you think about it. And the watch has a lot of exposed rivets, which are hand polished and hand installed, and that extends even onto the crown, which has those rivets as its grip, and of course on the back, both the pivot and the perimeter of the invisible rotor is decorated with rivets too. And when it spins, it really makes for a quite entertaining spectacle. Even as the level of finishing elevates the Antiqua to rarefied heights, even among the best of his contemporaries, the highly embellished and hand-engraved dials fashioned from precious metals and mirror-polished inner flanges, to name just two aspects, the prominence of the rivets on the case and the crown, 104 rivets in total, serves as a visual reminder of the utilitarian ethos of those vital timekeeping instruments of the past, such as the marine chronometer. The mysterious mass rotor reveals just enough of the caliber without doing away with the mystery, which is the Lemania caliber 8815, masquerading as VH198. But the textbook perfection of the finishing on the monobridge is quite a spectacle, with the whirring of the rivets every time the invisible sapphire crystal rotor spins. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you, man. Nice to have you here, as always. When form follows function so perfectly and without sacrificing the theatricality that makes a modern horological innovation, it is sometimes difficult to believe that the Antiqua was actually the first watch that Vienne Alter released as an independent, which was in 1998. Some mixed reactions. Some people very enthusiastic. Our very own the Squatch Box Ali Reza was much more skeptical. Clearly is not a fan of the Antigua, but or Antiqua, I should say, not the island. But I think it's an incredible piece, and it really looks like it it has been dreamed up in some sort of Victorian novel that was penned by Jules Verne or a similar writer, maybe H.G. Wells. You take your favorite pick. With that being said, it would be lovely if you would follow me on Instagram as well. I would really appreciate that. I am on the precipice of 1,500 followers on both. It seems like I crossed on Instagram. I'm sure it will drop off again soon, but thank you for your support. I'm sure it's going to happen here anytime now, but we are almost there. So I want to jump right in and start talking about the watches in the Importance Watches auction that's going to take place on May 26th, May 27th, and May 28th as a live event in Hong Kong, conducted by Christie's. One second. So this is an auction that's going to take place in Hong Kong as a live event conducted by Christie's. I'm sending the link into the chat for the listings. If you want me to pay attention, if you want me to dive in to any of these pieces that I may have covered yesterday, that I may have skipped over, or that I have not gotten to just yet, feel free to send the lot number in with a super chat, and I will get back to you and I will cover the watch from every angle that I can while we are on this live stream. There are a few pieces that I did not cover last night. So let's start with lot 2205. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre multi-axis tourbillon limited edition with the perpetual calendar. Let's take a look. The model is called Duomètre Sphero Tourbillon. Its understated aesthetic brings elegance to what is a highly complicated and technically outstanding watch, as the people at Christie's write it. An incredible feat of mechanical engineering that allows easy precision setting to the second. This was a limited edition of 75 pieces a decade ago in 2013. The present lot is number 38 of that edition, and it comes with its full set of accessories, including the original certificate. It was announced in 2013 edition of SIHH, which is the predecessor to Watches and Wonders. It's based on two innovations, the Duomètre and the Sphero Tourbillon. The caliber 382 is housed in a platinum case that's glazed on both sides in order to display the extraordinary multi-axis tourbillon so that it can be appreciated as a living miniature sculpture, which again, for this sort of unique spherically operating tourbillon, a multi-axis tourbillon is quite fascinating, even more dynamic than what you observe on very well executed classic horizontal tourbillons. The action of the inclined tourbillon turning on two axes is both mesmerizing and incredibly beautiful in its conception. An additional rotation axis is added in order to achieve a three-dimensional rotation for the movement. It proves itself more effective in all positions that a wristwatch may adopt. So it's both a spectacle and also a practical solution to compensate for errors. The open work dial provides a fascinating view of the tourbillon, performing an extremely unusual rotation movement, as well as revolving around the axis of its titanium carriage. The tourbillon also spins around the second axis, which is inclined at a 20-degree angle. The combination of these two distinct and fast rotations, respectively 30 and 15 seconds per revolution, serves to free the watch from the effects of gravity. The spectacular tourbillon incorporates all the innovations that enabled JLC to win a brilliant victory in the first official timing competition of the 21st century. The carriage machined from a single block of titanium features a combination of lightness and extreme precision. The cylindrical balance spring with its two terminal curves beats with a concentricity impossible to achieve with a traditional balance spring. The balance, with its generous inertia, oscillates at a cadence of 21,600 vibrations per hour. The balance spring stud holder is protected by a screw locking system from the effects of shocks and vibrations to which the watch is subjected. Small seconds, two power reserves separately for the timekeeping functions and the tourbillon, and an additional 24-hour hand, as well as a pointer date that is indicated around the main dial, which is itself located at around 9 o'clock. The watch is executed in platinum with an 18-karat white gold déployant clasp presented on a leather strap and with its full set of accessories. This is from the year in which it made its debut, 2013. And the pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch right around 82,900 in US dollars. Thank you for being here again. Please hit the like button. It really does help to give the live stream a little bit of a boost, a little bit of an exposure. I have covered most of the first 80 watches yesterday, but I wanted to attend to a few different pieces that I didn't discuss yesterday, that I skipped over. intentionally or not. I was quite out of it yesterday night, so I do apologize. I was just extremely tired, but I'm back today and back with vengeance. This is lot 2231, which is a white gold Speedmaster that was released on the 25th anniversary of the moon landing. That is to say, in 1994. Sold in that year, sold in 1994, entirely fashioned in white gold with a matching bracelet, the 42 millimeter case. The piece has has the caliber 864, the COSC certified version, and this was made in a run of 500 examples with a rather monochromatic look, accompanied by a silver, really true silver sunburst dial, very monochromatic also. No contrast for the chronograph registers. As you can see, the tritium loom on both the pips behind the stick markers, and the hands has expired. And here you see the exhibition case back, and also the inscription of its number in the 500 piece limited edition. The cost certified 864 movement. This is lot 2231, the 25th anniversary Omega Speedmaster in 18 karat white gold with a silver sunburst dial. The pre-auction estimates at its lower end puts the value of this watch in excess of 15,300 in US dollars. Thank you, Tim G. I appreciate you. $22.32 is a kind of Omega Speedmaster that one thinks should be more of a common occurrence, more of a no-brainer. With the moon phase indicator, it kind of makes sense, but I guess it also does not, because after all, a lot of the charm of the Omega Speedmaster is in its classic, iconic design, that it has not really messed with. Well, that's not entirely true, actually, because if you look at the history of the model with all these iterations of Mark II and the Teutonic, as they call it, the versions of the Speedmaster with this interesting integrated bracelet design that were made for the German markets, there is actually a great variety of versions, but nothing, of course, hit like the original Moonwatch. The reduced with the self-winding movement was never really a thing. But yeah, it kind of seems to make sense. Seems to make sense to have a moon phase indicator on the Moonwatch, and this is one such timepiece. You have all the functions as you do in any other Speedmaster chronograph. Silvered dial. At 12 o'clock, you have an additional register, an additional and slightly oversized subdial that has a pointer date, which encircles the aperture for the moon phase indicator, which I think looks quite cool, and even nicer with the silver dial, makes the watch look a little bit different than your regular Speedmaster. The piece also comes on a leather strap and a matching white gold Omega deployant clasp, an undated Omega International warranty, an Omega pictograms card, product literature, presentation box, as well as outer packaging. This piece is valued at the low end of the pre-auction estimates, right around 12,750 in US dollars. We talked about the lot 2233, which is in fact the model that was produced to celebrate the moon landing. And it was a replica of the 30 watches that were given to the astronauts who partook of the Apollo missions, and the president and the vice president as well, except President Nixon and Vice President Spiro Agnew couldn't actually accept these gifts, so they had to return them. And those two examples now reside at the Omega Museum. However, lot 2233 is actually one of those pieces that were made for the general public, that were produced in a limited edition of 1014 examples. And of course, they have a different engraving on the back. The actual tribute to the astronauts, the watches that were given to the astronauts in that Houston gala in, pardon me, in the fall of 1969 were engraved with the astronaut's name, as well as the phrase to mark man's conquest of space with time, through time, on time. Whereas this particular edition simply says Omega Speedmaster Apollo 11 1969. The letter Omega, the first watch worn on the moon, and the blurred out part is, of course, the number of this watch in that run, executed in 18 karat yellow gold with that 42 millimeter lyre case, burgundy bezel insert for the tachymeter, and a beautiful champagne dial, which is furnished by black indices and hands for contrast, for improved legibility. And the pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch to more or less in the same range as the other precious metal pieces that I just presented on. This one is in excess of 15,300 in US dollars. Oh, thank you, St. Peter. Thank you. $2 for the Antiqua. Yeah, let's bring it up again. Yeah, I mean, the watch has presence. You see, it can even overcome the veritable forest that rises from beneath. If I wear a watch and you can actually make out the outlines of it on my hairy wrist, it means that watch has some character. It means that it has some charisma. It means that it has some presence. And this watch certainly has all of that in spades and more. We were talking about lot number 2233 from Christie's Hong Kong Important Watches, which is going to take place as a live auction on May 26th, 27th, and 28th in Hong Kong. This Omega limited run of 1014 Speedmasters made in 18 karat yellow gold after the tribute to astronauts made for the civilians has, at its lower estimates, a value in excess of $15,300 US. I love that some of the emojis just get translated to StreamYard. So I had to actually go to the YouTube screen and check what it means. Face purple, crying. It's a good emote. It's a good emoji for sure. At 2234, we have the so-called Cookie Monster. In the previous generation, the white gold Submariner was called the Smurf, with a lighter shade of blue on the bezel, but also a dial that was executed in matte blue as well, much in the way that Rolex went with the so-called Starbucks, using the traditional black Submariner dial and matching that with a unique bezel color with the white gold Submariner as well, specifically with reference 126619LB. They went with a slightly different shade of blue on the bezel and with a black dial instead of the matte blue that distinguished the so-called Smurf, which had the reference number 11619. This is the so-called Cookie Monster, right? Since it kind of looks like his open mouth at lot 2234. And this piece comes with the full set of its accessories, the white gold Submariner from the 41 millimeter generation, the lower end of the pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch right around 23,000 in US dollars. Oh, St. Peter, I didn't see you in the chat yesterday, but I thought you would be interested in this. I don't know if you saw it or not. What's going on? Jesus. Are we having a problem with the website? Let's see. I think so. What is going on? Okay. Yeah, I was looking at lot 2241 yesterday, and I was giving the general advice that as lovely as these dials are, if you are really looking for a particular kind of dial, whether it's a wood dial or semi-precious stone dial, to match this sort of vintage or neo-vintage day dates, I think it's best, it's much more advisable to source a watch that satisfies everything that you ask for, in terms of condition, in terms of uh, the tightness of the bracelet, which can be a problem, right, with vintage watches. That's why some listings have this particular pose with the watch, right, to measure the sag of the bracelet. It's best to source the exact reference number you want in the best condition that your budget can get you, and then source a dial. Because believe me, with the way that these watches are being bought and sold in the aftermarket, on the secondary markets, from the absolute lack, due to the absolute lack of documentation, especially on Rolex's part, in terms of what dials um, these watches were matched with at the date of their manufacture, when they left the manufacturer, what kinds of dials these watches had at birth. That's only something that comes into play in the 21st century for Rolex, with these, sales tags and everything, with the white tag, as we call it. Um, no one has a way to know. So even when you find it in an auction like this, no one knows if this watch actually came with a salmon dial. But on a public auction, a day date with a rare dial sells for unconscionable amounts of premium. It's really crazy. I mean, look at this estimate, for example. It's 400 to 650,000, 400,000 to 650,000 Hong Kong dollars. That is in excess of 50,000 in US dollars. That's the low end of that estimate. That's actually more than $51,000. Um, Salmon bagel, salmon lox bagel day dates. Yes. And St. Peter, that is a date as well. Next time we go, I am in New York. We go to your favorite bagel shop, and I get you a lox bagel, and I will get something that I can actually eat as a vegan, but I will enjoy it vicariously, because it is the best. In fact, it should be the one occasion per year that I break my veganism, I think, ritually, as a sort of cultural ceremony. Yes, so this is the day date reference 18238, meaning the first generation of the double quick set, where you can uh, adjust, correct both the day and dates from the crown easily. And that is very much the sweet spot when it comes to acquire a vintage, neo vintage day date, even though for the absolute deal, I would go for an 1803 in yellow gold in good condition. Classic champagne dial, can hardly ever be beat. And you can always, of course, source a dial that matches that particular day dates, if you like to change things up once every so often for your own benefit, right? I always encourage people to do whatever the hell with their own watches, because the primary point of this hobby, the primary drive for collecting watches, has to be enjoyment, has to be having fun. It just has to be. It has to be geeking out as well. It has to be so many other things. Of course, But if you are not having fun, and if you are just following what other people do and what people with half a brain online tell you in terms of investment value or resale that or hype this, you are quickly going to lose yourself in this whole thing and probably going to leave the hobby quite soon and be bitter for it. It's really not good for anyone. It's not really good for anyone in the long term. This channel has been a lifestyle channel from the very beginning, but the direction that you see in a lot of other watch channels when they're trying to expand into other things is because of this, because they made their quick buck from watches when the market was hot. They didn't care or know anything about watches before. They still don't know anything about watches, so they don't have anything to say, and they're trying to pivot to the next thing. This will never happen on this channel. That's why I never give investment advice on a live stream in this kind of context. Buy watches that you can afford with your hard-earned money. Make your choices as carefully as you can, and I'm here to help. Negotiate the best price within your budget. Don't buy watches with money you don't have, and enjoy them, make memories with them, and ideally leave them to the next generation. That should be the goal. Stepping down from the soapbox. I still haven't been to the Second Avenue Deli either, so we should. Yeah, Stiefel, that is a problem, isn't it? Although I have to say, of course, as we come closer to the present, the bracelets are a little better, but I think 6-digit is still a bracelet that gets a lot of stretch. I mean, I've heard even from the most recent generation of Rolex's presidential bracelets that they tend to give out after a few years. Listen, I think 6-digit president is still a great watch if you wear it on a leather strap. I think those look cool, man. Source yourself an 18 karat yellow gold Rolex buckle. That's a couple of $100, I think, at most. Maybe 200, 250, matching yellow gold buckle. If you want to keep that Rolex feel, it can be something even gold plated. Who really cares? And put it on a leather strap. Meech will tell you it's the Lord's special. Get a leather or leather alternative strap that you think matches your particular day date or your Rolex, and enjoy it that way. I know a lot of the attraction of the day date is the presidential bracelet. I don't deny it, but you can always enjoy it on a daily basis and enjoy it more often on a leather strap or on a similar strap. And then on special occasions, you'll bring out your presidential bracelet, and that will, and I'm saying this unironically, that will make it more special. Right? That will make it mean more, in fact, when you put it on the presidential bracelet. We took a look at lot 2257-2. To be absolutely honest, when it comes to the Rainbow Daytona, I have a feeling that you have to go all the way. So I like it much better in pink gold or yellow gold. Ideally also matched with the rainbow indices as well, with the baguette cut sapphire indices rather than these brilliant cut diamonds. But the white one is also quite flashy, although interestingly and somewhat inappropriately subdued for the kind of piece that the Rainbow Daytona is, but this is the reference 116599 R bow. I have been told, although this is not an official word, but I have been told that eventually something like this will come back. Now, I don't know how the watch will look. I'm pretty sure it will have the rainbow bezel, the sapphire set bezel that has this gradient color scale of diamonds. And obviously, it will be matched with the newly designed, the updated Daytona case. Obviously, it will run on the caliber 4131, but beyond that, it's hard to guess. I'm sure they won't lose much time. They already have introduced a few very interesting off the catalog pieces with exorbitant prices, of course. You know, the ruby sets example, which I still couldn't confirm whether it was white gold or platinum, was supposed to be $400,000 or something on retail. Not that it's available to most of us. But anyway, so rainbow pieces are eventually going to come back, even though they are currently retired, currently withdrawn, currently discontinued. Some might still sneak, obviously, from the old production, since the new ones have not been delivered yet. But until then, these kinds of occasions are the only way to get a Rainbow Daytona. So if you're looking for that, this is it. Lot 2257. This is the Daytona Rainbow or Rainbow Daytona in white gold, 116599. And the pre-auction estimates actually places the value of this watch in excess of $250,000, in excess of 255,000 US dollars, actually. That's a great perspective, time. I have gotten my riveted oyster bracelet for my 5513 restored by Michael Young from Hong Kong. That's another perspective, and I respect, Stiefel, that you wouldn't want to wear it without the bracelets. Then just wear the damn thing and enjoy it, and get the bracelet restored a few years down the line. I think time as a human construct makes a great point. We have looked at these CP pieces, right? These three Tortue models that have come out from that decade of private collections that Cartier produced, often with the names that were up and coming in the high horology space. There is the time-only two-hander Cartier Tortue, which is fashioned in 18-karat yellow gold here. The dimensions of the case are 34 by 43 millimeters. It has that classic silvered Cartier dial with guilloche decoration, like a rosette pattern that emanates from the hand stack. The hands are fashioned in the Breguet style, which means that they are not only heat-blued stainless steel, but they also have that apple-like shape that the French actually also call pomme, simply. A railroad track on the center of the dial that follows the lines of the case shape, which is pretty unique, even though it can be generally described as tonneau. It's called tortue. Tortue à pattes was apparently the phrase they had in mind, a turtle on its legs. So this design, coming from the Roaring Twenties, was one of the centerpieces of the CPCP collection, Collection Privée Cartier Paris, that was produced from 1998 and 2008. It wasn't necessarily a commercial success at the time, but I think in time, the legacy of the watches that came out of that space, that came out of those collaborative efforts, have been steadily recognized, and we are going to look at one of them in a minute, but this is, in the meantime, the time-only version of the Cartier Tortue from CPCP, two-hander, sapphire cabochon on the crown, very elegant, very simple, and you also have a glimpse into the movement from the case back, which actually has a heat-blued regulator, which is shaped after the wishbone style Cartier logo as well. This is the hand-wound 437 MC movement with the bridge plates excessively emblazoned with the double wishbone logo, which might not necessarily be the most elegant or most difficult to apply, but certainly is very striking in its excess. And I think it's entirely befitting a luxury brand. And of course, the piece comes with a matching déployant clasp, immediately recognizable as Cartier in 18 karat yellow gold as well. This time only Cartier Tortue from the CPCP collection at lot number 2273 has a pre-auction estimate which puts the value of the watch in excess of $10,200 US dollars. I'm glad Cartier has so many followers in our chat. Aussie Expat says, whew, Cartier is making me wet. And St. Peter says, Cartier is best. The next two lots are the monopusher chronograph execution of the same case shape, same case size too, since these two are 34 by 43 millimeters. At lot number 2274, we have a Cartier Tortue monopoussoir, the monopusher chronograph, the single button chronograph, where all the chronograph functions are actually engaged with a single button that is itself installed on the chronograph, which gives the watch both a very simplified and elegant look, but also an extremely utilitarian edge as well. The dial is once again in the classic silvered Cartier fashion with guilloche decoration in that rosette pattern that distinguishes the CPCP watches, Roman numerals with a second track that can tell up to 1/5 of a second, a 2-register classic chronograph layout with the continuous running seconds at 9 and a 30-minute totalizer at 3, both with their railroad tracks as well. And of course, you have the Breguet styled heat blued hands for hour minutes and the centrally deployed chronograph seconds. The sapphire cabochon tops that single pusher, which operates all the chronograph functions. And the piece comes with a matching déployant clasp in the Cartier style in 18 karat 18 karat yellow gold. A few things need to be said about the movement, of course. This is famously a movement that was designed by two of the young and up and coming watchmakers at the time, which had this complications workshop, this movement manufacture called Technique Horlogère Appliquée. This was a joint venture between François-Paul Jean and Denis Flageolet, now of F.B. Jean and De Bethune fame. Vianney Alter worked with them for a time as well, but to my understanding, he was not involved in the making of this particular single pusher chronograph movement, single button chronograph movement. The idea actually emerged on the site of THA. They were already collaborating with Cartier on a couple of different projects, and F.B. Jean and Denis Flageolet approached Cartier to actually revive their iconic Roaring 20s monopusher chronograph that was presented in the Tortue case. So they actually designed the chronograph movements with the column wheel, hand wound and operated by a single button, by a monopusher. And the base of this movement, they actually continued, Flageolet continued to use in his De Bethune projects, namely DB1, DB8, the so-called football timer with the 45 minutes totalizer at 6 o'clock, and the new DB8, which is now spelled out and which they just presented in the last Watches and Wonders. Most recently, I think Messina Lab and Angelus had a collaborative project that exhibited a monopusher chronograph, a kind of doctor's chronograph that they revived from Angelus's archives. And that watch too uses the basis of this movement, except it actually splits the single button from the crown, and it is at 2 o'clock. Let me see if I can find the picture of that new monopusher chronograph. It uses caliber A5000, apparently, you can see, which is the same base as the 045 MC made by François-Paul Jean and Denis Flageolet, because THA, after it was disbanded, eventually ended up, I think, in the hands of Bucherer. So I guess for this particular project, they had no problem selling it or sharing it with Angelus. Anyway, we were talking about the Cartier Tortue monopoussoir, the monopusher chronograph by Cartier. That was a That was an icon of the Roaring Twenties, and that was revived in their CP collection at the turn of the millennium, basically, by the help of François Pourjon and Denis Fleurgelet. Here it is in its yellow gold version, and the pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch right around. Hey, man. Sorry I made you wait for so long. I was
No
getting
worries.
carried away. um,
These
but yes,
Cartiers, they always surprise, you know. But this is like crazy unique, right? The
yeah,
functionality here.
these are not, not a limitless production. Honestly, I mean, they're pretty rare. The yellow gold ones perhaps are, quote unquote, the least desirable. The next one is a little more popular, even the white gold one with that enlarged Roman numeral at 12 o'clock. But they both have the same movement, same operation, single button operation, and the same, to me, elegant case. But I even loved Frank Müller, so I just
Mm.
love a tonneau shaped case. So
You know what? It it reminds me, like, I really love Cartiers. They're always just trying stuff out, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And it all fits because that's just Cartier. Like, they're always just let's do something. Let's do something nuts and crazy, and like, oh, the case shouldn't be able to move. Like, it's like, so yeah, it's always really fun to see like the Cartier back catalog. You know,
Right.
it's just full of crazy wacky stuff. Um,
There's a great
they're
story.
almost all discontinued because.
But that's one of the tricks, right? If you have read any of the interviews with their CEO, Cyril Vigneron, um, this is actually a very well thought out method that they are using systematically recently. They basically bring out some of the most desirable and aspirational models from their catalog, pull them out of their archive,
Hmm.
put them out as a limited edition, so they generate the hype and inflame that desirability. A limited run of 100 or 200 pieces in total, and then either in that same season, and I use the word very specifically because they're a fashion brand, and not in a bad way, but this
Hmm.
is what they are. They release also an accessible version of it, right?
Hmm.
Something in stainless steel that for the most part looks very much like that limited edition thing. Maybe a couple of details, maybe instead of the sapphire cabochon, you get something, you know, of an imitation, so on and so forth. Maybe you don't get the same movements. Maybe you don't get the same kind of work on the dial, but you get something comparable that you can actually buy from the boutique. So
Hmm.
it is a very concerted effort that works both for high rolling collectors and aspirational collectors too, because it's an issue of access too. It's not for the lack of money that some people can't get limited editions. It's because they don't have the access.
Hmm.
So it's a way of luring people into the brand so that they may perhaps soon qualify for some of those limited editions.
Right. As well, yeah. I mean, right at the bottom, like the entry level watches, the Tank Must or Tank Solo of the previous generation.
Mhm.
They give a lot of people access to the brand and one of the most iconic watches of all time for an exceptionally low price when it comes to quote unquote luxury, or even Cartier themselves. You know, I justify like those Tank Muss and Tank Solos on the full bracelet. I was like, well, how much does a Cartier bracelet cost normally? Like astronomical, like just the nail. That's like $9,000 in gold or something.
And
So,
and the funny thing is, I've actually seen uh, this said by more than one woman. Um,
Hmm.
saying, well, I have these nice Cartier bracelets. They just look nice.
Yeah.
But the watch also tells the time, right? So it actually has a very interesting status as well, very interesting standing as a status symbol, I meant to say, in the way
Mm.
that Rolex does to the general population. Same thing with Cartier. And they can they have that same appeal as much with their jewelry as they do with their watches to the general public who may otherwise not be interested in watches
Right.
at all.
Another potential advantage, as I realized strolling through Nordstrom Rack this afternoon, was that
Okay.
there was a lady there with either a horribly beat up looking Cartier love bracelet or it was simply a fake. Um, and
Okay.
and that is that the Cartier jewelry is often faked. It's just so iconic and steady, and there's nothing really that special about the designs in terms of workmanship. So I'm not saying they're crap or something, but they are easily faked. Um, Meanwhile, the watch is a little harder to fake, just a little,
Just a little bit,
just a
because
little.
I mean, the bust down Cartier has also become an icon on its
Yeah.
own rights in the post pandemic era, and the more aftermarket diamonds a watch has on it, the easier it becomes to fake, because you don't actually get to see any part of the watch from all the ice on it. Yeah, that's a tricky realm, but you're right. At the end of the day, I think Cartier, once again, in jewelry, they have very high grade pieces that have like um, articulating, like panthers with
Right.
articulating limbs or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The $1 million pieces that obviously no one would bother to fake
Yeah.
just to sell them. Um, but then at the entry level, like you said, whether we are talking about the love bracelet or juste un clou, for example, right? Which literally
Mm.
means it's just a nail, right? So the design aspect is actually, when it comes to Cartier, is really very much about, at least for a lot of their jewelry, raising something that is extremely quotidian or very simple into the level of luxury. And I think
Hmm.
that's why that's just a nail is such a statement, because precisely, it's like a loose nail,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they actually made luxury jewelry out of it. So that's what needs to be commended.
I do like some of the variations of the nail, and that's like they've got rings and earrings. It's quite cute.
They have
My
beautiful
favorite,
cufflinks. They have beautiful
true,
cufflinks
the
in that
cufflinks look
style.
good. I really like there's this like pocket, I don't know, pocket figurine. It's meant to be for your pocket, and it's got this little panther that's just sort of popping up over your your pocket, and it's
Oh,
all
that's
in
amazing.
gold and diamonds. I'm like, that thing is really really cool. That's just a little panther popping out, but it's like $38,000 just for a
Oh, wow.
little bit of a pizzazz on the
Do
pocket.
do they do they have it on the website?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. It would be markers of style maybe, like
Markers of,
under the high jewelry
okay.
or iconic panther. Yeah, yeah. Try iconic panther. Top, top, up top.
Ah,
Uh, hmm. Do they have more stuff, or is it just one item?
man,
These are cute.
they are. They are. I mean, they're also insanely expensive, but
Yeah, and like these ones here with the animal ones with the watch. What's so crazy? So that $250,000 one over there on the right, the income, yeah, Indomitables. Um, these watches, yeah, fucking quartz. How could you possibly spend $250,000 and then they load it with a quartz movement?
You know
I
why?
don't.
Because look, they have access to this movement because Cartier is Richemont and
Hmm.
Jaeger-LeCoultre is Richemont. But when you have such a fine piece, it's very thin. There are not
It's very
many,
small. These are very small.
there are not 15 different models of watch movement that can go in here. There are just a
Yeah.
handful of designs. So for example, the JLC 101,
Yeah.
which actually was the movement in the late Queen Elizabeth's coronation watch, for example, it can go in here, but that will make the $285,000 watch probably $350,000 watch.
Hmm.
You understand? And most people who buy a watch like this are not really interested in its timekeeping functions. They don't want to wind it. They
Right.
don't want to. They don't want to set it. They don't. They don't want to bother. They don't want to get it fixed.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think ultimately that's probably why. And I know for us watch geeks, it's an insult, but it's a logistical issue. I think, at least.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have to make it this small. Like, I mean, there's no scale on the screen here. This is a super tiny watch. It says 22.2, but like that's at its widest point, and it's very oval
Mm.
shaped. There's very little volume on this watch.
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
gives you
how,
an idea. It looks tiny on the lady
I mean,
because
look
they got
at
to fit their
this.
heads there.
Look at this beautiful theater, man. I mean, two
Yeah,
panthers, grabbing on each, uh, spring bar of the watch,
yeah,
tugging away. It's just incredibly cool.
yeah, yeah. These are absolutely incredible, incredibly very expensive as well. Oof.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you can't get them online, but you go to the proper Cartier boutiques and they'll have them in the window. Um, well, I don't know if you can buy them. I'm sure they'd let you. So- yeah, that what is that? What 100,000?
180. Yeah. It's gosh.
How do you wear this one?
On
Oh, there's
on
a
a
pin behind it.
yeah, on a
Okay.
lapel of some sort, I'm assuming. There's
Wow.
probably like a little pin behind.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So
But
this
honestly, that
reminds
must
me.
be that must be a nicely constructed lapel, I'm assuming, because this has yeah, it's fashioned in gold and then has 51 sapphires, two emerald eyes, one onyx nose, and 604 brilliant cut diamonds totaling 2.88 carats.
Yeah. Um, Reminds me of the kind of thing Trax NYC does.
Okay.
But it is the kind of thing. But I mean, you get way bigger pieces from Trax NYC, as in they 3D print them, they mold it out, then they ice it up. This is a lot more intricate.
For sure.
But I'm not sure how you would argue the value difference between the two. Honestly, I don't know.
Well,
I'm
one is called Cartier, the other is called, with all due
Trax
respect,
NYC.
Trax NYC.
It's
So
true, it's true. But I mean, I mean, yeah, in terms of value retention, they're probably both terrible, right?
of
So
course,
it's sort of, you choose what you like in this case. This one's an easy one. The 100 IQ decision is the same as the 140 IQ decision. Just get the one you like. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy because we met someone that is doing high jewelry, quote unquote,
hmm
and I don't know what that means. Ultimately,
you don't
like
know what do you mean?
custom jewelry, it's just like okay, you know.
Right. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, so just about every woman does custom jewelry, so I don't know what to tell you when
Exactly.
it
No,
comes
no,
to it.
exactly. So we met a few people who were from LA who did their own jewelry lines.
Thanks for indulging my crappy joke and generalization, but yeah, that's why we love Aussie Expat. Let me drop the link as well to his watches channel. He
Oh,
does
thanks.
great work, beyond.
I honestly, I think the Discord is more fun than my channel. So yeah, go to my channel, but between subscribing versus joining the Discord, join the Discord. Like we all have a lot of fun talking on the periphery of watches.
That's true. Although, yeah, yeah. Discord is always fun. I mean, do you have a direct link for that you want to drop in the chat? Because
Yeah,
you
sure.
have the you
Yeah,
have that
we
right,
could
if
get
you
more
want.
warm bodies in here because I mean, even with just a handful of us, it's been pretty pretty hilarious. It usually serves maybe like 50% of my laughs for the day. Let me.
That's good. I try, but I think Meech sometimes rightly says his back is hurting because he has to carry the Discord on his shoulders, and he's right. He does. I mean, he does the bulk of the posting
Oh yeah, yeah. I
there.
think he's basically just posting directly to me because it's mostly just wrestling memes. Um,
Yeah, the other kinds of posting goes down in the DMs, I think, with Meech, with Instagram and other.
Well, hey, I wouldn't have known our friend Nebulite if it wasn't for the Discord, and my AD was able to get him his Black Bay 54. He tried hard for that. He really tried hard to get that Black Bay 54. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
really, really interesting.
look, I mean, I think I'm just pampered in Los Angeles, right? Because
Yeah.
in the Southern California area, we have two boutiques. One in Century City,
Mm.
that's run by West Time, and then another in Costa Mesa in South Coast Plaza, which is run, I think, by Tourneau. So
All
since
right.
they're also competing, they have just about everything. And if they don't have it, they will
They will call
bring it
you.
in for you next week or something.
Hmm.
So it's not, it's quite easy. But I also understand, also, not necessarily in Nebulite's case, but some people are invested in building a certain kind of relationship with their authorized dealer. And if they can get a tutor piece, it adds up to something, right? It might
Sure.
not add up to much, perhaps, but if they are gonna get something more exclusive,
Yeah.
like some sort of Rolex,
Yeah.
which will then build up to something else, I understand. I mean, I was sharing
Oh no,
this.
he gave up on that. Like
Yeah,
he was willing to do the Meach special, Minnesota special, which would net nothing. Uh, like I mean, he's got his own AD here that does sell Tudor, but they treated him so badly that he's like, I'm going somewhere else. Um, and then he went to my AD, and the SA treated him like really badly there.
I understand. Well, I mean, look, it's also, by the way, I mean, I was just sharing this on my Patreon. With most brands, and I was specifically using the example of A. Lange und Söhne, which is a brand that I respect immensely and really, really love passionately, even though I don't own a piece by them at this moment. But unless you are shooting for a very long standing and solid relationship with them, building an entire collection of Lange watches over the years, even with all the value they have started retaining and even gaining for certain exceptionally performing models, it's just not worth monetarily to shop at the Lange boutique. You know,
Mm.
if all you are getting
Yeah.
is one piece or two pieces, unless you are eventually shooting for the Odysseus in stainless steel as your third, fourth, or sixth piece, it's really not worth it. These pieces still run well under their current retail prices on the secondary market. So if even if you are gonna get a nice Lange one and then a platinum Datokov, it's much better to get them on the secondary market. It's just
Like, are,
not
are you
worth
saying the Odysseus is hot? Like, that's a hot piece to work up to?
the stainless steel one really is. I mean,
Wow.
we honestly, it is. I mean, if you pull up the Chrono
Mate,
24
I
now,
believe you, but I'm amazed. It's ugly. Uh,
that's
like I don't say that, but like it's not going to be my watch. But like out of all of them, the all the other ones are better.
okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think probably of all the brands that I don't own, if there's one that I fanboy over and hardly anything that there's hardly anything on their catalog that I don't like, that's Lange. So
Mhm.
it's very hard to it's a hard pill to swallow for me what you just said. So I'm just not gonna respond at all.
Okay. Sorry, I got to jump. It was fun catching up on a little bit of Cartier
Of
here.
course.
Until next time.
All right, man. Take care. Next time, maybe we'll talk about your AD sales associate relationship as well, as much as
Yeah.
you want to divulge it, of course.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Ironically, the person who treated Nebulite really badly at my AD is probably my next SA. It should be fun. No, she's
Uh,
great. She's really good. We really get along, but I found it really hilarious that she treated him really badly. We'll see. All right.
all right. Well,
Until
keep us
next time.
updated. Take care. Bye. Good night. All right, guys. Yes, please do subscribe to Aussie Expat Watches, which is a great watch channel on YouTube, but also his Discord, where we are having a lot of fun on a daily basis. And Meech is doing most of the work. So help Meech out and help everyone enjoy this crazy hobby of ours a little more. So we were looking at the important watches auction, which is coming up at the end of the month at Christie's Hong Kong. It is a live auction that's going to take place over 3 days on May 26th, 27th, and 28th. And it also includes one of the most impressive, it also includes part of one of the most impressive Patek Philippe collections in the world, the so-called Triazza collection. And we are going to get to those watches momentarily. But in the meantime, we are looking at lot number 2275, which is probably the most desirable iteration of this monopusher chronograph from CPCP, uh, Collection Privée Cartier Paris, that decade-long think tank of high horology and design, which left behind a great legacy. And among the pieces they have produced, probably the single button chronograph, the Cartier Tortue monopusher chronograph, holds a special kind of place because it is built on a caliber that was designed for this specific person in collaboration with François Porjon and Denis Flegeolet when they were part of a collective that is abbreviated to THA, usually. That's Technique horlogère appliquée. And you have this beautifully laid out hand hand wound column wheel chronograph movement that is operated with a single button, which is itself mounted on the crown. That gives the watch a very purified, beautiful, and balanced look, but it's also, I think, incredibly utilitarian as well. Because honestly, when it comes to our uses of chronograph wristwatches these days, we can certainly do away with the double pushers, and why not three of them for split second chronographs and whatever else. It's just confusing. A lot of times it looks unseemly and all over the place. I think this is both an elegant and practical solution to that problem, even though the monopusher chronograph was the ancestor to chronographs that actually split those functions between start, stop, and reset. I think in our contemporary era of high horology, we need more of these single button chronographs, these monopusher chronographs. The white gold version, as I mentioned, is a little more desirable. I think it has a lot to do with this beautiful silver dial with blue accents. The oversized Roman numeral at 12 is very reminiscent of certain vintage chronographs. The Universal Genève had a chronograph like that I certainly saw very recently on Instagram. Let me see if I can actually find it. Ah, yes. There we go. It's like same vibe. Okay, it's a nice aesthetic, but all right, stop. Yeah, you see that design, which has an oversized 12. That's a very nice vintage aesthetic. And I think by and large, people love the white metal case here in 18 karat white gold and the blue accents on that silver dial, which of course go along splendidly with the heat blued stainless steel hands that are executed in Breguet style for hour and minutes. And of course, the sapphire cabochon that is in this case mounted on that single button for all the chronograph functions. This is lot 2275 for the Cartier Tortue from the CPCP collection, reference 2396 from around 1999. The lower end of the estimates puts the value of this watch right over $15,300. I'm sure it will go for much more. Hi, Pawi. How are you doing, man? I think in the case of all these three Tortue watches, they will go for much more than what that threshold of the low end of the estimate, the low estimate might imply. But it is also interesting to look at how things will unfold at the end of the month, because perhaps the market, with the market trending down, perhaps even very desirable, hot, and hyper attractive pieces like these are even losing value. It's possible. Because certainly nothing has been spared from the downturn of the secondary market of watches, which of course is not a phenomenon that happens in vacuum, right? At lot 2288, we have a special order chronomètre résonance in a 38 millimeter platinum case. And the reason that this is signified as a special order is because you might remember the story when François Paul Jean was transitioning from rhodium plated brass movements to movements entirely executed in 18 karat pink gold. He wanted to mark that transition with the so-called ruthenium series. 99 watches in 6 different lines, if I'm counting correctly from my head, including the special Octa Jour Nuit model. 99 pieces of each, with the ruthenium dial and brass movements plated with ruthenium instead of the usual rhodium. And even though the contemporary FB Jean cases were fashioned in 38 millimeters in diameter, the ruthenium series was actually made with 40 millimeter cases. So the fact that this is a ruthenium series watch in a 38 millimeter platinum case is a rare situation. It connotes that it was, in fact, a special order. And apparently, it's the only known 38 millimeter example in the ruthenium edition. If there's another one, it's so far unaccounted for, because usually the ruthenium collection was, in fact, the only brass movement era FB Jean timepieces that were not available in 38 millimeters. So all of this makes this particular example of the chronomètre résonance from the ruthenium edition very special indeed, because of how it is actually a 38 millimeter platinum case matched here with an 18 karat white gold FB Jean déployant clasp, and with the full set of its accessories. This is lot 2288, which has an estimate of more than 700,000 US dollars. Incredible. It's really unbelievable. But hey. At 2289, there is a very interesting tourbillon souverain. This is a piece from 2010. It is said to be a limited edition of only 5 pieces, which was made to celebrate the opening of the FP Jean boutique in Beijing, which was the company's 6th boutique worldwide. The first example to be offered at auction, the second example to be offered at auction, but the first example to be offered with the matching platinum bracelets. The piece has a dial that evokes the colors of the Chinese flag, of course. It is also emblazoned with 5 stars depicting the 5 regions of the country, and it is therefore also made in 5 examples. And the tourbillon souverain, of course, is one of those masterpieces that won François Paul Jean the Aiguille d'Or, which is, of course, the grand prize in the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève, and that was back in 2004. The Tourbillon Souverain also was chosen as the watch of the year, winning that grand prize in Japan in 2004 as well. The piece has a remontoir d'égalité and the deadbeat seconds. And this particular example comes with a matching platinum bracelet in the 5-row beads of rice style. Thank you, my man. I hope you are doing well as well. Yeah, this is a very cool looking piece, and I actually like the way that Christie's presented and photographed these pieces for the auction. You know, there's always something thematic going on in the backgrounds. There's always something that picks up a shade from the dial of the watch. You have to admire it when they're making an effort, you know, of taking not only decent photographs of the watches that give you some details of the movement of the case, of the bracelets, but also do that with some effort towards presentation. This piece comes with its full set of accessories, including the presentation box as well as the outer packaging, the certificate of authenticity, as well as the product literature. This is the Tourbillon Souverain from 2010, made in a limited run of 5 pieces to celebrate the opening of the Beijing boutique in 2010. Tourbillon Souverain with the remontoir d'égalité and the deadbeat seconds, with a dial that recalls the Chinese flag. This piece has a pre-auction estimate, which puts its value in excess of 828,000 in US dollars. I wish. I wish. Maybe they can make us one for like $20,000 if it is in platinum as well. 2290 is once again a fantastic example of the chronomètre souverain from 2002, which means that it does actually come with the brass movements, as you can see, the rhodium plated brass movements. It also has a pretty cool dial, which is fashioned from an 18 karat gold blank and has taken on over the years this yellowish hue, which makes it look even better. There's something quite charming in seeing this absolute symmetry on the dials, on the two dials that have their own separate gear trains. Ultimately, this watch was made to demonstrate the concept of resonance, which is something, which is a physical phenomenon, which is something that was brought into the world of horology with Breguet's clocks, and also with pocket watches that Breguet made. But those were, in a way, enormous pieces, right? I'm not even talking about the pendulum clocks, but even the pocket watches that Breguet made that had two movements and that used the phenomenon of resonance for the two movements to compensate for each other, to regulate each other, to say it very loosely. Those were almost 64, 65 millimeter in diameter. So rather hefty pocket watches for Francois Paul Jean to implement this concept for a watch that can be comfortably worn on the wrist, I think is already a magnificent achievement. And you guys know that, speaking of Christie's and FP Jean, tomorrow is the big day for the art of FP Jean auction that is going to take place in Geneva. It is a live auction, and the bidding starts actually in less than 6 hours for that. So people are already in Geneva and posting pictures and videos on social media. In the meantime, this is lot 2290, chronomètre résonance from 2002. So an early example with the brass movements. .38 millimeter platinum case, matching platinum FP Jean tank buckle, and a certificate of origin with the two identical dials that mirror each other, that resonate with each other, and that compensate for each other by taking advantage of the phenomenon of resonance. The movement itself is beautifully symmetrical and very thought-provoking. Very inspiring. This particular piece has a pre-auction estimate, which puts the value of this watch at around 153,000 US dollars at minimum. Lot 2291 is a chronomètre résonance right after the transition, as these pictures can testify. This piece is from 2007, so it is in 40 millimeters platinum with a white gold dial that therefore looks more silvery rather than champagne-like with what we have seen in lot number 2290. And of course, coming after the transition, this piece has a movement, which you can see the bridge plates are made out of 18 karat yellow gold, pink gold, I meant to say. And there's the white gold dial with the two timekeeping dials drilled through it, heat blued hands over silvered guilloche, as well as the additional power reserve indicator at around 11 o'clock. Here's the matching tank buckle in platinum. This piece does come with its certificate of authenticity, a travel pouch, as well as the presentation box and outer packaging. At lot number 2291, we have once again a pre-auction estimate, which puts the value of this watch at its lower end, right around 153,000 in US dollars. Hey, JB, thank you so much. 999. Could we get a YB hot take on lot 2228? Oh my God. Is this something controversial? Will I have to say something mean? Let's see. We're going all the way back. Oh, all right. Royal Oak, Las Vegas Strip. Let's take a closer look. I mean, okay, where do I start? Look, essentially, you know my position. I am actually a big fan of blacked out watches, whether they're achieved by PVD coating, DLC coating, a particular kind of finish that brings out the already gunmetal gray shade look of the metal, whether we are talking about titanium or even tantalum, which has maybe slight tints of blue but has this gunmetal gray appearance. I actually like those pieces. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to the Royal Oak, so I would very much like a 39 millimeter case with the tapisserie dial, ideally in that um, uh, bleu nuit nuage 50, the classic night blue color. But I'm not gonna hate on a special edition model, a limited edition model, just because I kind of like the idea of combining a tourbillon with a chronograph. I know this is more of an offshore than just Royal Oak pure and simple 44 millimeter case with a dial design that's very much mega tapisserie at the center with oversized Arabic numerals, oversized hands. Um, I love the color scheme. I'm not gonna lie. I love the fact that it's a tourbillon and a chronograph. Would I ever buy a watch like this? Absolutely not. Would I wear a watch like this? Not even if I wanted to, because 44 millimeter is way too big for me, even on this design, even on a leather strap. But I actually like this watch. I like the aesthetic. What can I say? And I like the piggy looking chronograph bridge on the back. That's a cool piece. And listen, I mean, if you are making a Las Vegas strip limited edition, which is why this piece was made, I think it was supposed to be for the opening of the Las Vegas boutique. Um, you got to do something larger than life. You got to do something that's a little flashy. And in this case, look, they combined it with something that's very much um, a house specialty for them. So a chronograph and a tourbillon, by all means. This piece has an estimated value, which at the minimum is right around 40,800 US dollars. And it's certainly an acquired taste. My hot take, honestly, is not so hot at all. It's mostly lukewarm. I think it's a nice looking watch for what it is. For me, it strays too far away from the norm of what a Royal Oak is as a platonic ideal for me to be too interested in it, or even to be too emotionally invested in it. Right? I see it as something so completely different that I'm not also offended by it either. It's just something that I can admire in its own right. Lot 2292 takes us already to parts of the Triazza collection. This is a stainless steel pocket watch by Patek Philippe that was once retailed by Eberhard Milano. It's actually quite a handy piece in 43 millimeters, all in stainless steel. Beautiful Geneva seal caliber with finger bridges and a swan neck regulator. The piece itself is from 1938. One of the only two known to the market. Silver dial with enamel indices and numerals, and signed by Eberhard Milan. Comes with an archival register that certifies its year of manufacture is not as 1938, and year of the sale, the date of the sale, as July 8th, 1939. Such an interesting date. I mean, it inspires a lot of interesting thoughts and ideas. Imagine shopping for a watch. 3 months to go into the Great War. Did this person even know that the world would be in throes of another war of that scale, of that intensity, in just a matter of months? It's incredible. When you sometimes think about watches, you end up moving in all sorts of different directions. But this is a beautiful piece, very elegant silver dial with engraved numerals that are enameled in, Arabic numerals at 3, 9, and 12 o'clock. The long Patek Philippe Company Genève signature, Eberhard Milan signature around sector subdial for the small seconds, and heat blued pencil hands for the hour, minutes, and the seconds as well. This was lot number 2292, a 43 millimeter stainless steel pocket watch by Patek Philippe from 1938, bought in 1939, just a couple of months before the war would start. The lower estimate of this piece puts its value over 8,250 in US dollars. Lot 2293 is another stainless steel pocket watch by Patek Philippe. This piece is actually manufactured in 1942 and sold in 1943. Reference 733, with a stainless steel case that is 47.5 millimeter in diameter. The piece does come with an archival extract from Patek Philippe that certifies this. And we have a silver dial that has applied Arabic numerals at 3, 9, and 12 o'clock. Gold beads for the rest of the indices. Small seconds subdial at 6 o'clock, which has a heat blued hand. And we have a handset for hours and minutes in a beautiful leaf shaped style. This is a Patek Philippe stainless steel pocket watch, 47.5 millimeters in diameter, from mid 40s. Reference 733, with an estimate, with a pre-auction estimate that puts the value of this watch in excess of 6,100 in US dollars. Please hit the like button if you are enjoying the presentation, if you have learned something so far. If you would like me to pay close attention to any of these particular pieces, please feel free to send in the lot number with a super chat, and I would be more than happy to take a closer look. Here's another prize possession from the Triazza collection. This is a reference 600 Patek Philippe pocket watch in platinum with a 43 millimeter case. It has another silver dial, which is actually set with diamonds, baguette cut at 3, 9, and 12 o'clock. Brilliant cut for the rest of the indices, and with a sector subdial for the seconds at 6 o'clock. The hands are leaf shaped. We have feuille hands for hours and minutes. For this watch that was manufactured in 1946. And sold on April 29th in 1946 as well. Beautiful hand-wound pocket watch caliber that carries the hallmark of Geneva. A wonderful pearled track for the minutes. These gold beads that are set on the silver dial, and archival extracts. This is lot number 2294 for a platinum Patek Philippe pocket watch, 43 millimeters in diameter, and a diamond set dial. The pre-auction estimate at its lower end puts the value of this watch in excess of 15,300 in US dollars. At lot 2295, we have reference number 783. This is a Patek Philippe pocket watch in a 39 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case, manufactured in 1963. It comes with a matching 18 karat yellow gold chain and the archival extract, which confirms that the watch was indeed sold on a gold chain. And in fact, it has a case design that echoes with the design of that chain, and it has a pie style dial, which I just made up because the dial looks like nicely sliced into 12 equal pieces. So basically, 3 crosshairs intersecting with each other. I'm sure there's a very specialized name. I don't seem to recall it. I also love the indices, how they're cut, how they're laid out, how they are decorated and detailed, with a beautiful set of pencil hands for the hour and minutes. The Geneva Seal hand-wound pocket watch caliber. All the hallmarks on the chain as well. And the extract from the archives. This is lot 2295. A 39 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold Patek Philippe pocket watch, which comes with a chain in matching 18 karat yellow gold. Reference number 783 for this piece, manufactured in 1963. Lot number 2295 has a pre-auction estimate, which puts the value of this watch in excess of 12,750 in US dollars. At lot number 2296, we have another gold pocket watch with a 3-tone sector dial. The piece is fashioned in a 4 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case. It was manufactured in 1929, sold on November 23rd, 1935, as the archival extracts from Patek Philippe testifies to it. Silvered sector dial in 3 different tones, as you can see. Railroad track for the minutes on the perimeter, a kind of cream divider between that and the hour track, which has applied Arabic numerals at 12, 3, and 9 o'clock. A silvered hour track, a silvered subdial, which has a sector like seconds track as well, and gilt hands that are in a leaf shaped style. This is lot 2296, a Patek Philippe 18 carats yellow gold pocket watch in a 44 millimeter case, reference 600. It comes with the Patek Philippe archival extract as well as the guarantee issued by retailer Grauwiller Guggenbühl from Basel, and a presentation box. The lower end of the estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of 15,300 US dollars at the minimum. At lot number 2297, we have another pocket watch by Patek Philippe, this time with a two-tone sector dial. The design is very similar, but this piece, I feel, has a little more of a coherent design, and I really like the onion crown at 12 o'clock. That's a beautiful, beautiful detail. The case back is engraved with the initials of a previous owner. That is the original owner. It has a half hunter case back, which you can pop open to take a look at the caliber, which has this beautiful frosted gilt finish on the bridges, and a swan neck regulator. The cuvette, the case back is beautifully polished inside, so you can actually get a mirror-like reflection of the movement from certain angles as well. As you can see, and the piece actually comes with an archival extract which testifies to its date of manufacture in 1933 and its sale on December 14th in 1944. This is lot number 2297. A yellow gold 46 millimeter Patek Philippe pocket watch from early 30s with a two-tone sector dial and an estimate that places its value right around $15,300. Variation on a theme. This is lot number 2298. We have a Patek Philippe pocket watch in a 44 millimeter yellow gold case with a silvered two-tone sector dial its original presentation box, an archival extract from Patek Philippe, and in addition to the applied markers at 3, 9, and 11 o'clock, pardon me, you have actually those painted Arabic numerals for all the hour markers except for 6, of course, which is occupied by a sector subdial for the seconds. This particular piece at lot number 2298 also has a pre-auction estimate, which puts its value at the minimum right around 15,300 in US dollars. We have a few very interesting Audemars Piguet pocket watches to accompany these as well before we transition into a grand variety of time-only Patek Philippe watches, as you can see. If you want me to get to those sooner and later, feel free to send in a super chat. But I want to take a look in these open worked Audemars Piguet pocket watches as well. This is lot 2299, a 45 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold Audemars Piguet pocket watch, which has a diamond and sapphire set, bezel, beautifully hand-tempered sets of hands for hours and minutes. And as you probably know, Audemars Piguet was always known for its mastery of skeletonization, of open working. So this is absolutely their lane. This is lot number 2299. And an Audemars Piguet pocket watch in a 45 millimeter yellow gold case with an open worked dial and a diamond and sapphire set bezel. As you can see, even the bridges of the movements is open worked and hand engraved. It's a beautiful look and certainly quite impressive and visually imposing when you have that mainspring barrel so exposed and so beautifully laid out in here at around 10 o'clock. This looks like a movement that probably has good power reserve. I'm guessing probably 6 to 8 days. That's a sizable mainspring barrel. The pre-auction estimate of this pocket watch at its lower end puts the value of it around 10,200 in US dollars. Right next to it, we have another open worked Audemars Piguet pocket watch in a 42 millimeter yellow gold case Once again, you can see those tempered blue hands in a leaf-shaped style for maximum contrast with the open-worked movement, which is hand-wound and which has the exposure of the mainspring barrel as part of its visual attraction. A lot of hand engraving is present on the movement as well, on the parts of the bridges that have not been open worked. This particular piece has a pre-auction estimate, which puts its value in excess of 12,750 US dollars. At lot 2303, we have a Audemars Piguet Grand Complication pocket watch. This is one of those watches that they love presenting as possibly unique. Case number 001, 51 millimeter, 18 karat yellow gold case with a diamond pavé dial. The piece is built on Jaeger-LeCoultre caliber from the 1930s, sold in 1986 in Hong Kong. It is a perpetual calendar, a minute repeater, as well as a split seconds chronograph with indicators for the leap year as well as the moon phases. As a rule, an Audemars Piguet Grand Complication has certain obligatory features to qualify for the title. These include the split seconds chronograph, which was patented in 1822 by Louis Perellet. It became one of Jules Audemars' specialties from the start, a perpetual calendar and a minute repeater. Furthermore, all Audemars Piguet Grand Complication watches include a moon phase indicator in addition to the three main complications. This Grand Complication impresses with no less than 10 complications in addition to the fundamentals of timekeeping, of course, hours, minutes, and seconds. There's a perpetual calendar, which includes the days of the week, the months, the days, the date, the leap year indication, the chronograph, the 30-minute register, the split seconds, the minute repeater, and the phases of the moon, as well as the moon's age. The reference 25630 Grand Complication with the diamond pavé dial is numbered 001, and it's thought to have been made as a unique piece. The movement ébauche, the movement base, was bought from LeCoultre a company in 1973, according to the AP archives, although it is assumed to have been made originally in 1930s. So the base was actually itself a Grand Complication. So it's not like AP added modules and modules and modules on it. This particular piece, finally, after it was completed by Audemars Piguet, was sold to Hong Kong on August 11th, 1986. Very beautiful piece. Very unique, engraved on the case back as Grand Complication number 001. Here's a look at the movements made by Gégé Lecoultre, which includes the perpetual calendar, split-second chronograph, and the minute repeater. Even the perlage on the inside of the case back is a visual delight. And I think we can listen to the minute repeater here, to the chime. Oh, that was incredible. One more. Encore. Incredible. That was lots number 2303, an Audemars Piguet Grand Complication watch, a pocket watch that has chiming functions on top of being a perpetual calendar, split-second chronograph with a leap year indicator and a moon phase indicator. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at around $70,000 at the very least. Would probably go for more. That is lot 2303. Okay, the last pocket watch that I'm going to present on today. I've lost enough viewers dealing with this, but no matter. This channel is dedicated first and foremost for the love of pure horology. So here is lot number 2306 as a minor sacrifice to the horological gods. This is a miniature pocket watch. It is identified as the smallest 18 karat yellow gold pocket watch that has a minute repeater function. Manufactured in 1888 by Patek Philippe. It arrives with an extract from the archives for this 24.5 millimeter yellow gold encased pocket watch with a repeater. And as you know, it's usually much more impressive to produce any sort of complication in a miniaturized form because it's just more delicate. It's harder to machine and produce the parts. It's harder to assemble the parts. It's just a much more monumental task. Very unique piece. Look at that beautiful movement with those gilt frosted bridges. This is lot 2306. Patek Philippe pocket watch, minute repeater in a 24.5 millimeter miniature 18 karat yellow gold case, smallest identified gold minute repeating pocket watch, therefore, with an enamel dial, beautiful Roman numerals for the hours, and pardon me, along a railroad track, you have the Arabic numerals for the minutes as well in gilt inscription. The piece has a pre-auction estimate, which at the minimum puts its value in excess of 100,000 in US dollars. Okay, we are back to wristwatches now. That was our last sacrifice. This is lot number 2307, a classic Calatrava, beautiful round cased watch, reference 1461, 32 millimeter yellow gold case with a two-tone silver dial and elegantly shaped teardrop lugs, manufactured in 1942. Here's the hand-wound caliber that carries the hallmark of Geneva. The hallmarks of the case are still crisp and beautifully intact. As you can see, that's the head of Helvetia, which certifies in that time period that this is indeed 18 karat gold. The piece comes with an archival extract that testifies to the date of manufacture as 1942, and the date of the sale was actually on Christmas Eve in the same year. This is a Patek Philippe dress watch in a 32 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case with in 32 millimeters of diameter and with a silvered two-tone dial at lot number 2307. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch in excess of 4,000 in US dollars. Lot 2308 is a reference 570, a very well preserved 18 karat pink gold Calatrava 35 millimeters with a silver dial. Of course, a hand-wound movement. The piece was manufactured in 1954. Here's a shot of the caliber 12-400 with the hallmark of Geneva, swan neck regulator. The hallmarks are still pretty impressive and very much intact. With a set of baton markers for the hours, a pearled track for the minutes in matching gold beads, a small second subdial at 6 o'clock as well on this beautiful silver dial. Very elegant Calatrava case with drooping lugs in 35 millimeter 18 karat pink gold case. This is a reference 570 manufactured in 1954. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch in excess of 25,500 in US dollars. We have the same reference 570, with centrally deployed sweep seconds in platinum. The caliber is 27 SC. Hallmarks of Geneva, as you can see. The piece is in platinum, which is quite rare in and of itself. .35 millimeter case. The 520 was introduced in 1938 as a larger version of the classic Calatrava reference 96, and it remained in production until 1972. Combines the minimalist aesthetics with the standard 20 millimeter lug width. The reference 570 can be adapted to almost any occasion. A beautiful piece indeed, in platinum with sweep seconds. Very elegant watch. A jumbo Calatrava for its time. Very appropriate for our time as well. This is lot number 2309. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch at minimum in excess of 20,000 in US dollars. We're approaching the last hour of the live stream, so please hit the like button. It really does help. If you would like to send in any questions, please feel free. Lot 2310 is from 1962, the same reference, 570 in a 35 millimeter white gold case, this time warmly patinated silver dial with sweep seconds once again. a well-preserved case, an extract from the archives that testifies its year of manufacture as 1962 and the date of the sale as 1963, January 19th. This particular piece also has a pre-auction estimate, which puts its value in excess of 15,000 US dollars. $23.11 is the reference 570 once again, this time in a 35 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case, silver dial with sweep seconds at the center, Dauphine hands, which match beautifully with the baton markers for the indices. Caliber 27 SC, which carries the hallmark of Geneva. The bridges are finished with Côte de Genève, which is delightfully multidimensional. Swan neck regulator. A beautiful piece once again from 1958. This is lot number 2311 with an estimated value of more than 12,100 in US dollars, according to the pre-auction estimate. Lot number 2312 is reference 565. This is actually a piece manufactured in 1951. It has a 34 millimeter yellow gold case. With a screw down case back and a dust cover. It's a waterproof watch of its time. It was apparently available either with small seconds or sweep center seconds. This particular piece has the caliber 27 SC, which was introduced much later in the production, and which, as you can see, has sweep center seconds, which is in this case in heat blued stainless steel, whereas you have a set of feuille hands to go with the baton indices for hours and minutes. This is lot 2312, a Patek Philippe Calatrava reference 565 in a 34 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case with sweep center seconds. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch in excess of 15,300 in US dollars. With your permission, I have to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Just 1 second. All right, I'm back. We are talking about yet another Calatrava. This is a stunning reference 2508, which was manufactured in 1953. The piece has actually a lot of luminous material on the dial, and it happens to be radium. The Dauphine hands are filled with the slight baton-shaped luminosity, which matches the baton indices. They're also filled with luminous material, which is radium and which has long expired, seemingly, or at least deteriorated. This is also a sweep seconds watch. So you have an heat blued stainless steel seconds hand. The piece was given to one Karl F. Holdeffer for 25 years of faithful service to the Commerce Petroleum Company. It was in 1952. It is very well preserved with the drooping lugs, beautifully stylized still. This is lots 2313, a Patek Philippe 18 karat yellow gold Calatrava wristwatch, 34 millimeters. Very sporty looking for its time, quite elegant for our time. This piece has a pre-auction estimate which sets its value around 15,300 in US dollars. I want to dip into some other interesting watches. I think we'll pick it up from the end. This is lot 2360, which is the Sun Moon Tourbillon, one of the Patek Grand Complication models. This particular piece is from 2012. It's supposed to be the only publicly known example of its kind because it looks like a bespoke pink gold reference 5002 with a unique black dial that is adorned with diamond indices set in pink gold chaton. The Sky Moon Tourbillon was always assumed to be available by invitation and interview. Unique special request versions, therefore, are quite likely to exist. The first example of its kind to be seen at the auction. This is an extremely rare and also a bespoke Patek Philippe piece. A very different kind of aesthetic with the matching of the pink gold case with a black dial set with diamonds. offered, of course, with its full set of accessories in pristine condition. The piece is a double dial wristwatch with 12 complications, including cathedral minute repeater, tourbillon perpetual calendar with the retrograde dates, moon age and angular motion, side real time, and sky charts. All of this expressed in on a black dial with diamond indices. As you can see, the case band is decorated in a way which makes elements of the Calatrava cross put in sharp relief. And here is the sound of the chime. A spade set of hands, which includes, of course, this elegantly twisted minute hand. The red hand in this case is a retrograde indicator for the dates that is expressed in a scale in the shape of an upward facing crescent. The center of the dial is also decorated with the Calatrava cross motif, perpetual calendar with leap year and moon phase indicators, black dial with the diamond indices, the sky chart on the secondary dial with the side real time. This is the Patek Philippe Sky Moon Tourbillon at lot number 2360. The pre-auction estimate at its minimum puts the value of this watch in excess of 3 million in US dollars. This is the Sky Moon Tourbillon by Patek Philippe, reference 5002R-014 at lot number 2360. At lot number 2359, we have the reference number 5304R-001 from 2017, offered here in impeccable condition and with the full set of its accessories. This is a self-winding piece built on a micro rotor caliber with a semi-open worked dial. It has the perpetual calendar function with retrograde dates, moon phase, and leap year indicator, as well as a minute repeater. Once again, you have a beautifully decorated case band and lugs. an open worked dial which battles to increase the legibility with some elements of blackened white gold used in the hands. The date is actually indicated on a scale on the periphery of the dial, on the perimeter of the dial. And I think this is a great scene of the movement with the micro rotor caliber that takes after the same motif on the case band. And here you can listen to the chime. Oops. Sorry. Amazing. This is lot number 2359 for Patek Philippe 18 karat pink gold, 43 millimeter minute repeater perpetual calendar with retrograde dates and indicators for leap year and moon phase. Again, a semi open worked dial, reference 5304 R-001. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch minimum around 510,000 in US dollars. At lot 2358, we have the Patek Philippe reference 5078P, which is a 38 millimeter platinum self-winding piece, white enamel dial, and chiming functions. The piece comes with a matching platinum Patek Philippe buckle, since it's served up on a leather strap. The package also includes the certificate of origin, an additional solid case back in platinum, the product literature, leather portfolio, as well as the presentation box and outer packaging. This is a very slim, sleek, and elegant watch, thanks to also its use of the micro rotor caliber, which gives it a wonderfully slim profile, incredibly wearable for a minute repeater. At lot 2358, Patek Philippe minute repeater, reference 5078P, has an estimated value of more than 200,000 in US dollars at the minimum. Lot 2357, we have the Patek Philippe Celestial reference 6104R-001 from around 2021. The piece has a bezel that is set with baguette diamonds. Again, a beautiful micro rotor caliber built on the base of caliber 240. A matching déployant clasp in 18 carats pink gold, which is also diamond sets. They surround the Calatrava cross, and the piece comes with its full set of documents. One of the most exclusive and hard to find models of Patek Philippe's modern production, the 6104 Celestial with baguette diamond set bezel and buckle is breathtaking both in its sheer beauty and complexity. Features a stunningly attractive black dial in contrast to the blue dial of the white gold Celestial reference. The bezel is set with 38 scintillating baguette diamonds weighing a total of 4.27 carats, and the déployant clasp is set with a further 22 baguette cut diamonds weighing 1.13 carats to perfectly complete this Patek masterpiece. Successor to the legendary reference 5102, this hugely complicated, outstanding astronomical wristwatch borrows the principle of showing the celestial canopy from the most complicated wristwatch ever produced by Patek Philippe, reference 5002 Sky Moon Tourbillon. The nocturnal sky of the northern hemisphere rotates to show the apparent angular motion of the stars and moon, as well as the progression of the phases of the moon. Hours and minutes are displayed by two pierced white hands. A delicate elliptical contour on the inside of the glass frames the portion of the sky that can be seen from all cities that share the latitude of Geneva. Reference 6104 features a slightly larger case with an additional date indication via an additional hand with red crescent-tipped hands. A very interesting and complex watch. The 6104R with the black dial right here. This is lot 2357, and the pre-auction estimate at the minimum puts this watch's value right around 460,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2356, we have the reference 5204P-010. This is Patek's model that replaced the 5004. So this is a platinum perpetual calendar split seconds chronograph, of course, with the moon phase indicators, indicators for the moon phases, day and night, and the leap year, in addition to, of course, the rest of the perpetual calendar functions, as well as the split seconds chronograph. The piece is matched with a platinum déployant clasp, and as you can see, it is built on the base of the in-house caliber. This piece has a 40 millimeter case, comes with its full set of accessories. Which includes a certificate of origin, additional platinum solid case back, the pin pusher for the corrections, sales tag, leather portfolio, product literature, presentation box, as well as outer packaging. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch right over 165,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2355, we have a very fascinating limited edition, which has a great story behind it. This was a limited run of 16 pieces that were made in 2011 with vintage calibers, vintage chronograph movements that were found at Patek Philippe's manufacture. The cases are in 37 millimeters stainless steel, cushion shaped. Reference number is 3670A. Only 16 pieces were fitted with the original vintage chronograph caliber. The piece was only available by invitation only to friends and important clients of the brand. This piece comes with its original set of accessories, and it is preserved in superb condition. Any stainless steel cased wristwatch by Patek Philippe is undoubtedly a statement, and especially in this sort of complicated wristwatch, it's even more important. It's even more exclusive. It is, after all, only one of 16. The story of the reference 3670A's creation goes in 1996, 16 carefully stored and unused historic calibers, 13 130 chronograph movements were discovered on the fifth floor of Patek Philippe's Rue du Rhône boutique. This is the Geneva boutique, originally made in 1948 and regulated back in 1955. Philippe Stern immediately realized that these movements could be used to create a very special new model, so exclusive it could be offered to only his most loyal clients. The movements with serial numbers in the 869,200 range were fully commissioned in Patek's workshops in readiness for their new incarnation. Another unique and interesting aspect of these historic movements is that because the movements were made in the mid 20th century, they bear the Geneva seal mark that Patek Philippe had stopped using for their modern production after it was superseded by the familiar PP seal. In 2011, the completely restored movements were cased in classic stainless steel cushion-shaped cases that successfully evoke Patek's iconic chronographs of the early 20th century. And look at this vertically brushed anthracite gray dial, slightly oversized set of leaf-shaped hands, The beautiful two-register layout for the chronograph with the subdials in a darker charcoal toned color, and the centrally deployed chronograph seconds, along with the register hand for the 30-minute totalizer, is rendered in white for an increased legibility. And here's a look at caliber 13-130. This is lot 2355, one of only 16, the reference 3670A-001, made in 2011 with 16 movements that were randomly found in Patek's Geneva boutique. The estimated value of this piece is in excess of 910,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2354, we have one of those fascinating models from the 175th anniversary exhibition that Patek brought to London in the Saatchi Gallery, where they revived a number of discontinued models in unseen configurations. In this case, you have a very attractive kind of khaki green, brown, bronze toned dial that is matched with a pink gold case for 5970 perpetual calendar chronograph. These are, as you can see, the 40 millimeter perpetual calendar chronograph pieces with more kind of muscular and angular accents compared to the 3970. The movement base was still Nouvelle Lemania CH27. Of course, hand finished, assembled, and regulated according to the highest standards expected from a watch, from a movement that carries the hallmark of Geneva, which is still present, even though the watch itself is from an era that is after Patek had long forsaken that seal, that hallmark. This is the 5970J-014, a perpetual calendar chronograph by Patek Philippe in an 18-karat yellow gold case with a striking khaki green bronze/brown dial in a combination that was only made in 5 pieces for the watch arts grand exhibition in London. There are only 5 pieces made. That's the guess. Only example that has so far surfaced, fresh to the market. The piece comes with a matching deployant clasp, certificate of origin, additional solid case back, setting pin, sales tag, product literature, leather portfolio, as well as its presentation box and outer packaging. So in so many ways, it is with its full set of accessories. And the pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch at around 510,000 in US dollars. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, we are back. We're talking about the important watches auction, which features pieces from the Triazza collection. This is a live auction that's going to take place at the end of the month in Hong Kong, conducted by Christie's. This is a single sealed Patek Philippe 3970 EJ with a beautiful black dial and a single Breguet numeral at 12 o'clock and a tachymeter scale. This was a special order piece after the production of the reference number ceased in 2004, and it remains single sealed, having been delivered to that customer who placed a special order for this watch. The black dial was very exclusive, was used for pink gold watches from the Saatchi London exhibition, and for some platinum pieces. This is the first time it surfaces in public in a yellow gold 3970. Very unique and interesting piece. Very, very exclusive indeed. This is lot 2353 for a Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar Chronograph, reference 3970 EJ-029 from around 2009. The piece comes single sealed with the full set of its accessories. from around 2000, so 5 years after the production ceased, and the pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch over $500,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2351, we have one of those watches that took its time to be appreciated. Patek Philippe came out with the 5070 in 1998. It was overshadowed almost immediately with the release of the Alain Gonzone datograph just a year later, but also because of its oversized appearance, it wasn't perhaps the right moment for a 42 millimeter Patek Philippe wristwatch, for a Patek Philippe chronograph for that time. Nevertheless, I think it has found its niche in the market, most certainly. The case design is delightful, and this is a very unique example of the watch. This is reference 5070R-014, one of the versions made for the Watch Art Grand Exhibition in London. With that stunning black dial, the piece also comes with a matching Patek Philippe déployant clasp in 18 karat pink gold, as well as the full set of its accessories. Possibly one of the only 5 pieces made, the only one to appear in public auctions so far. The first Patek Philippe hand-wound chronograph to be produced after the discontinuation of 1463, and the last Patek Philippe hand-wound chronograph to be built with the Lemania CH27 base, which, as you see, carries the Geneva seal. This is lot 2351, reference 5070R-014, in pink gold with a stunning black dial, Arabic numerals for this hand-wound Patek Philippe chronograph in a 42 millimeter case, made in possibly 5 examples, no more than 5 examples, for the Patek Philippe Watch Arts Grand Exhibition in London. This is lot 2351 with an estimate of more than $400,000 at minimum. Lot 2350 is also made for the Patek Philippe Watch Arts Grand Exhibition in London. This is once again a 5070, which comes with its full set of accessories in yellow gold rather than the pink gold of the previous example, and with that khaki green / bronze / brown dial, sunburst. A pretty beautiful combination for this 42 millimeter hand-wound chronograph by Patek Philippe, matching 18 karat yellow gold déployant clasp with the Calatrava cross on it. It's the full set of accessories. This piece at lot number 2350 has an estimated value which is more than 350,000 in US dollars. At lot number 2349, we have a unique bird. We have kind of a predecessor of 5811. This is reference number 3711, which initially came out in white gold to announce the return of the Nautilus Jumbo before it practically left the scene for the arrival of 5711. It has been made for only a couple of years, maybe a few years, with less than 700 examples in white gold. Which makes this incredibly rare, of course. This is the Patek Philippe Nautilus from around 2005, one of only 700 in white gold, 3711/1G-001. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch in excess of 120,000 in US dollars. At lot 2348, we have a very unique example of a two-tone reduced size Patek Philippe Nautilus. This is from the mid-90s, and it comes with a reduced case size of 37.5 millimeter, more or less. It also forgoes the usual horizontal ribbed pattern for the dial, settling for a kind of bone color, an off-white shade. It employs a centrally deployed second sand. It has a sweep center second sand, unlike the Jumbo, unlike the 3700. And in this example, you have a beautiful two-tone aesthetic, which builds on the integrated stainless steel design for the case and the bracelets, and complements it with the center links as well as the porthole bezel, not to mention the crown and the fixtures of the dial with 18 karat yellow gold. The pre-auction estimate for lot number 2348 puts the value of this watch in excess of 30,000 in US dollars. Lot number 2348 for Patek Philippe Nautilus 3800 from mid-90s in a two-tone execution and cream-colored white dial. The piece is estimated to go for more than $30,000. That is US dollars. Hey man, how are you? Thank you. I feel good. I needed to I needed to get a nice shave for tomorrow. Hit the like button, please. And remember, tomorrow I will be interviewing the CEO of Karl Suchi und Söhne. We are going to talk about their line of watches, especially the Belvedere and Waltz. But we're also going to have a broader conversation on horology and aesthetics, because I really value the approach of CEO Robert Punkenhofer, because he has a very particular kind of perspective that is guided by his experience in the art world, and it gives them an interesting leverage even as they are adopting this seemingly external, seemingly marginal position vis-a-vis the Swiss horological industry. I hope you guys can tune in. In either case, if you can't, it is going to be a conversation that would take around 60, 75 minutes. So something that you can most certainly listen on your own time whenever you are convenient, whenever you have some time in your hands in the form of a podcast or something of that sort. Um, it could be great. We are going to be live basically in 12 hours. So please tune in. I would really appreciate your inputs in the chat. I'm sure you will really please Mr. Punkenhofer, and certainly I will be delighted to hear your questions and your perspective as well. I really look forward to this conversation, so please join me. I want to cover a couple more watches before I tune out. If you have just joined us, I have been covering the important watches auction from Christie's Hong Kong, which is a live auction that's going to take place on May 26th, 27th, and 28th in Hong Kong. This collection, most importantly, features some pieces from one of the best Patek Philippe collections in the entire world, the so-called Triazza Collection, a part of which that Christie's Hong Kong already sold, but there are still many, many interesting pieces, some of which we had the privilege to look over today. If you have any last minute requests, please feel free to send in the lot number. I'll try my best to cover them before I tune out. Lot number 2347 is the original jumbo executed in 18 karat yellow gold, case and integrated bracelets, and it also has a porthole style bezel that is adorned with diamonds. The classic ribbed blue gradient dial, which looks delightful in combination with yellow gold. The watch is in great shape, as you can see. Pardon me, this particular piece was manufactured in 1980, and these are exceptionally rare already in yellow gold, but with the diamond set bezel, they're said to be only a handful. At any rate, I think only 5 examples have so far appeared in public auction. So this should be a model. This should be a piece that generates some interest. At lot number 2347, that is Patek Philippe Nautilus reference 3700/4, which is the original jumbo in an 18-karat yellow gold execution and with a diamond set bezel. The pre-auction estimates at its lower end sets the value of this piece in excess of 150,000 in US dollars. Okay, I have 2 more watches. Please hit the like button if you're on your way out or if you have just arrived. I will present on 2 more pieces and then I will go for tonight, but I will be back at noon tomorrow with my special guest, Robert Ponkenhofer, the CEO of Karl Zuchi und Söhne. I look forward to seeing you then. That will be in about 12 hours. This is lot 2336. Since I spoke a lot about different kinds of watches that my friend St. Peter would love, here is one of his favorite modern references. This is the discontinued white gold version. We're talking, of course, about Patek Philippe reference 5235, the annual calendar wristwatch from Patek Philippe, which has a regulator style dial. A two-tone dial with a vertically brushed silvered center and a railroad track for minutes, which is printed in white and red, and that's white and blue, and that's a color scheme that is reflected in the subdials, which are reserved at 12 o'clock for the hour hand and at 6 o'clock for the seconds. There's the date at 6 o'clock, and there are 2 further aperture for day of the week at around 10 o'clock and month at 2 o'clock. This piece is built on the base of a beautiful micro rotor caliber by Patek Philippe. So it is actually a very elegant and sleek piece. A uniquely styled tank buckle for this model. And this particular example comes with the full set of its accessories. This is lot number 2336. Patek Philippe reference 5235G, now discontinued, but the reference is represented by the pink gold version, 5235R, in the range right now. This is the annual calendar wristwatch by Patek Philippe with the regulator style dial. It actually arrives in a single sealed fashion. And lot number 2336 has a pre-auction estimate, which puts the value of the watch in excess of 25,500 in US dollars. And the last piece I will talk about today, I want to choose something very special. So we are going to do probably one of my favorite pieces ever. This is 2328 in a stainless steel case. lot number 2328, a Patek Philippe hand-wound chronograph 130 in a stainless steel case. I really love the precious metal cases for these that were at the time made by Émile Vichet, which made the cases um, for such iconic models as the 1518, the perpetual calendar chronograph, as well as the very first series of 2499. The stainless steel cases for this particular reference, which have a slightly bulkier and certainly sportier appearance, were made by Wenger. In this case, the piece is matched beautifully with salmon dial. Applied Breguet numerals, feuille hands, leaf-shaped hands for hours and minutes, and heat-blued hands for both the centrally deployed chronograph seconds and the register hand for the 30-minute totalizer at 3 o'clock. A piece that's very elegant for our time, a piece that was once very supportive for its own time, very well preserved, built on a 13 ligne Vajou chronograph caliber, which is beautifully finished, assembled, and masterfully regulated by Patek Philippe. With a Stay Bright stainless steel case made by Wenger, the watch manufactured in 1941 and sold on October 30th, 1941. With salmon tinted, pink tinted dial, 35 millimeter case. This is lot number 2328, a stainless steel version of the Patek Philippe Reference 130, its first serially produced chronograph, classic hand-wound gentleman's chronograph from the early 40s, with a gorgeous salmon dial. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch at around $200,000 or more. Good morning, Memovox. I'm unfortunately getting ready to leave, but it's always nice to see you. Thank you for dropping by. Please hit the like button. I will complete the coverage of this auction tomorrow night on the live stream, but before then, I will be live in less than 12 hours with the CEO of Karl Zuchi und Söhne, Robert Punkenhofer, and we're going to talk not only about their exciting new releases, especially the Belvedere line, but also about the unique and aesthetic vision that the company brings into the world of contemporary horology. I look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you for your presence and support. I really appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. It really gives me a lot of encouragement and certainly helps the channel get a little more exposure. The people who have super chatted, Jake Brooks and St. Peter multiple times tonight, have my gratitude. I really appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, you know how. If you want to contribute to this platform that is established out of a sense of responsibility, love, and passion for pure horology, I'm here with Watch Talk every day. It does take a lot of work. I do it with pleasure, but your support makes it possible, and your support also increases the quality and quantity of content, since it allows me to devote a little more time. And I do want to increase that time. So if you want to support this channel, if you want to contribute to the independent work that I do, purely at the behest of my audience, fully at the service of the audience, you can follow the links provided in the description. They're also in the crawling ticker right now. I'm going to post them in the chat as well before I leave. So if you would like to contribute, feel free. I appreciate any contribution. They all mean a lot. If you would like to join me on Patreon, that is an incredible added value, because you get 3 links to watch deals that I curate. Um, Sometimes from the usual suspects on Chrono24 and eBay, but a lot of times I venture out. I spend a lot of time to record an exclusive uh, content for my Patreon subscribers, where I provide a lot of extra information, historical and horological detail on these watches. So the entire venture, even if you don't particularly want to or are not ready to take advantage of these value propositions, it ends up being a very educational and informative venture. So feel free to click the link in the chat and check out the Patreon. The tiers are very clearly explained. I also have more advanced services for uh, consulting you on watches, on establishing your collection, whether you are building from scratch or simply looking for a new direction. But that basic Patreon membership is a great way to start the conversation. It is, in fact, the best and easiest way to get in direct contact with me on a regular day-to-day basis. So feel free to take advantage of that. I'm checking out now. I wish everyone a great night, a great morning for people who are rising up in the UK and in continental Europe. I hope to see all of you in less than 12 hours at noon my time on Friday, May 12th, where I will be hosting the Karlsruhe und Söhne CEO Robert Ponkenhofer. Until then, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much.